How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to the corner. I am the DM as always, and today I want to talk about this. I know you might be asking, why? I thought this game was dead and buried. Well, I did too, until I learned that the uh, uh, investors report came out just recently, and I saw just a little small little thing come from it. And that's what I wish to talk about today. That and EA stocks, which only back up what I'm about to say. So, let's go ahead and go over here to a Forbes article, shall we? So, in this Forbes article written by Paul Tassi, and there's another page I'm going to bring up later. I like Paul. I think he is decent with his reporting. I won't say perfect, but I think he's decent with his reporting. So let's see what this article has to say, shall we? And I've highlighted some things. So in here it says, right up here, that after the failure of Anthem, as well as Mass Effect Andromeda, it really needed the Veilguard to hit, and it did not. So it says, while originally things may have looked promising with Dragon Age grabbing the highest concurrent Steam player count of any BioWare game, the longer term picture was far less rosy. Yes, we saw this for ourselves. When the initial critics who got their hands on this game released their reports, they gave it the highest of praise, Paul Tassi included, an 8.5 out of 10. Oh, yes. They gave it an enormous rating. But as we know, because we are not stupid, these were critics who were given review copies after the review copies of other people were stripped away because they were not going to be giving it an 8.5 out of 10. No, no, no. Those people were going to give it a much lower score. Possibly an 7.5 out of 10. I know. Supposedly the average for video game reviews. But he goes on to say, and this is what caught my eyes, Dragon Age engaged approximately 1.5 million players during the quarter, down nearly 50% from the company's expectations. Oh, now you might be asking, DM, why did you put so much emphasis on engaged? Well, it's because, as he mentions down here, the word engaged was specifically chosen and not sold. That is because the game did not sell 1.5 million copies. No! No, no, no. It probably sold at best half of those. A mere 750,000. I have no statistics for this. I have no evidence for this. That is just my theory. A journalist theory, if you will. Yes. Now, also down here, you'll say that he says that a new game, particularly one 10 years in the making after the Game of the Year winning sequel, underperforming by a full 50% is dire. Oh, yes, and it is quite dire, as the stocks will tell you in a moment. Now, down here, he goes on to list some of the potential reasons why, right? Like on Metacritic, it got a Metascore of 82 from the critics. But you'll see from users, it's got a 3.9. Oh, that is pitiful. Oh, that is so pitiful, right? But it got a Metacritic score of 82 from 77 critics. How could this game fail? Well, let's see some of the reasons. Now, two of the reasons he got correct, and then two of the four reasons he got wrong. The two that he got wrong was this one right here. It was 10 years we've been waiting. That is not the reason. It is not because they changed the main villain, or that people were just no longer interested. Nay, I say, True Dragon Age fans were waiting for this game. We were excited about this game. Dare I say we were hype for this game. Oh, so this wasn't it. No. Neither was it that it was over a year after Baldur's Gate 3 came out. No. If Baldur's Gate 3 had come out around the same time, I might give it to you. But you tried to say that it was because it was over a year later. No! Baldur's Gate 3 had nothing to do with this game's failure. No. It certainly didn't help, but it had nothing to do with it. No, the reason why is because the aesthetic and tone of this game was completely changed from what the entire rest of the series was. And it was, as you correctly point out here, the centerpiece for DEI. Yes, as he says here, the DEI narratives became almost a focal point for the storyline and features of this game. These two here, right here, were the reasons why Dragon Age the Veilguard failed. Oh yes. Not the other two. Now the rest of this really doesn't fucking matter. It was those right there that mattered. And I want to point out why. Okay. So, if we look at the stocks, okay, we'll start with this one. Okay, we'll go to 3 months. Because this game came out October 31st, okay? So if we look here at October 31st, we could see where EA's stocks were. The game released to uproarious high reviews from the critics. And the investors saw this and went, banger! So the stocks climbed. And they climbed, and they remained up there. And then, after about 2 months, when the players just started abandoning the game, oh yes. And if you don't believe me, let's SteamDB Dragon Age the Veilguard. We'll pull up the SteamDB. Because I pull up the facts and the proof. Oh yes. Okay. So if we go all the way out, right here. So this is where it released. It peaked at 89,000 just 3 or 4 days after launch. And then it fell pretty hard in the next 3 days. Lost half of its player count. Got a little bit back, probably due to people going to sleep. And then it lost a whole huge wave again. It's not even a month after release. Not even half a month after release, it had lost over half of its players. Not good for a game that's supposed to have over 100 hours of content. Oh, this is bad. Most people haven't put in 100 hours 2 weeks in. Now you might be saying, but 2 weeks? That's over 100 hours. Yes, but people have lives. People have work, children, family. Only people that are content creators really put in 100 actual hours in 2 weeks. And then it just kept going down and down and down. Right? And again, if we look over here at about midway through December, right, is when it really starts to tank. 12, 13, right? And, oh look, 12, 13. It's down to less than 10,000 players. It's lost about 90% of its players. And the stock and the investors, they pay attention. And they see how far it's crashed. That's because People are releasing their reviews. People who are not critics are releasing their reviews. And people are furious with this game. So their stocks keep going down, right? And they begin to sort of level out. But then you'll notice just yesterday, right? If we go ahead and change this to a day, you'll see right here is around when the investors report was released. And then what happens? The stock tanks itself. The moment that investor report is released, the stocks tank. And they really don't recover. And why, you might ask, right? Because it comes right here and it just kind of tanks. Well, that's because, as reported over here, it only engaged 1.5 million players. Now, this means, by their choosing of words, that most of the people who are playing this were playing it through the EA subscription service. The game itself is trash. The players know this. And in fact, I'm pretty sure the last time I covered this, or one of the last videos I did, I pulled this up and I showed you the reviews. And the vast majority of them were promising. But now, if you look at it, Mr. Medi Plays released one 2 months ago. It's a big disappointment. The Angry Joe Show reviewed it just a month ago, right? We don't really look at these. We already know about them, right? Game Rant released one. These guys did. Wolfheart released one. Still Down did. So one thing you'll notice is a lot of these people who are releasing their reviews now are not people who got review codes. This person, he got a review code. You know it because of the way they reviewed it, right? So this is one thing you have to be wary of, is people who get the review code are people who are specifically hand chosen, especially when it's EA, to give it a good review. That is why the Metacritic score, we're just going to pause this. That's why the Metacritic score is 82, but then the user review score of over 7,500 is less than 4. Okay. Now, one thing I would be remiss to point out is Forbes's their review policy. So, this right here is the guidelines effectively for Forbes. You know, IGN has their, like, this is what we give 10s, this is what we give 9s, blah, blah, blah. This is what theirs are, right? This is it. And link will be down in the description, right? So there are roughly 5 letter grades that they give them, okay? With A, 90 to 100, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, right? So, if we look down here, right? So an 8.5, right? That's what he gave it. He gave it an 8.5. So, Paul gave Dragon Age the Veilguard a B. A solid, like, B plus, right? Now, what did IGN give it? Well, if we come back over here to this, we scroll all the way to the end, they gave it a 9. Okay, so they put it just under the pinnacle of gaming in their opinion, right? And Forbes did basically the same thing, right? And this is why at the beginning of the video, I said I kind of trust him. Because again, he got 2 of these points right. But he didn't get the other 2 are just, these don't factor in at all. And he gave it an 8.5, right? So, Dragon Age the Veilguard was a colossal flop. Dragon Age the Veilguard is the single sole reason, or well, I should say single sole example of why DEI doesn't work. Dragon Age is one of the biggest game series of all time. It tried the DEI approach, and it failed. Let this be a lesson and a warning to everyone out there in the video games industry. DEI does not work. It never has, and it never will. Abandon it and go back to making games that are good. Thank you all for coming to my corner. I've been DM as always. If you liked the video, hit like and subscribe. If you didn't like the video, hit dislike. Leave a comment, let me know why you think Dragon Age Veilguard is a 9 out of 10. And I'll see you next time.